Well, all this was great and it was fun, and I thought the service was going to be enjoyable for people. But in the middle of all this, I got some bad news, some very sad news, as I prepared the service because it seemed that one of my relatives, or a group of my relatives, had suffered a bereavement. And it was very sad. It was someone very young, and I couldn't help but wonder how they must be feeling, how perhaps if someone like that came to this service, they might find it all rather trivial. And it made me think of those times in life when we really do struggle to find any meaning, when we're looking out and we think, really, there's nothing here that is actually meaning anything to us. We all have those times in life. And I wondered how the service might speak to people in that situation. Would there be any responses that might give people some hope when they felt there was none? Well, in this respect, I was really glad to hear from Neil Craig, who is a Methodist local preacher in Sheffield, though clearly that photograph isn't taken in Sheffield. And he invited me to have a look at Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz. Neil writes, he reversed that question and said that instead we should ask, what meaning can we add to life? We should not ask what gives meaning to us. The point being, this way of looking at life compels a person to always consider the right way to act, even in the most normal or banal of situations, in order to give meaning. He got this idea by looking at other people in the concentration camp and seeing that those who could still maintain a meaning to their life treated others with compassion and survived longer. Therefore, we should not look for external factors like an object, interest, or hobby to provide meaning. If external factors give us meaning, what do we do when they are no longer there? And that to me was a very good point. Rather than going to look for meaning in different places in life, we might ask ourselves, how do we bring meaning to life? How do we bring meaning to the world? How do we bring meaning? How do we add meaning to the lives of others? And some of the responses I got certainly dealt with this. Jill Pearson in Sheffield, for example, wrote that she found meaning in the fact that people remembered her because I managed to provide the correct treatment, which helped them to get better. Sarah Vaughan referred to trying to bring up three small boys being one thing, and being involved in the life and breath of my town through the Blackberry Fair medium is another. There we have a reference to the value of community as well, in contributing towards the wider community. It's something that adds meaning to life, but also gives a person meaning. Karen Bott wrote, I feel God has given me the gift of trying to help people. I wish I had more money to give, but then that is when my time is given. I guess I take the saying, it is better to give than to receive, very seriously. So maybe, as Neil Craig suggested, the question shouldn't be, where do I find meaning in life, but how do I add meaning to life? How do I add meaning to the world? Sometimes when we're going through bad times and when life does seem a bit meaningless, we can suffer very low self-esteem. That seems to go alongside times of difficulty. And with this in mind, I was very impressed with something my Auntie Ruth sent me. She broke all the rules, and rather than telling me anything about what gave her meaning in life, she sent me a meditation, which was way more than the 20 words that I referred to. But it was a very good one, a powerful one, I think, and I'm going to share part of it with you now. Within every soul, there is a rose, the God-like qualities planted in us at birth, growing amidst the thorns of our faults. Many of us look at ourselves and see only the thorns, the defects. We despair, thinking nothing good can possibly come from us. We neglect to water the good within us, and eventually it dies. We never realize our potential. Some don't see the rose within themselves. It takes someone else to show it to them. One of the greatest gifts a person can possess is to be able to reach past the thorns and find the rose within others. This is the truest, most innocent and gracious characteristic of love, to know another person, including their faults, recognize the nobility in their soul, and yet still help another to realize they can overcome their faults. If we show them the rose, they will conquer the thorns. Only then will they blossom, and most likely bloom 30, 60, 100-fold, as it gives to them. Our duty in this world is to help others by showing them their roses and not their thorns. It is then that we achieve the love we should feel for each other. Only then can we bloom in our garden. So thanks everyone for sharing your thoughts on the meaning of life. And I'm hoping that in the days ahead, each one of us will continue to find meaning in the beautiful things we enjoy in the world, in the sense of belonging that we find in other people, and also in that sense of wonder, that very important sense of wonder that several people referred to. But may we also add meaning to the world, that in harder times when the world seems bleak perhaps to people we know, they might see beyond the thorns to the hope that is the rose. Thanks for listening.